Necropolis, let's go. A brand new announcement and gameplay.
And ghosts. Our job is to keep them where they belong. It's your first night, so you'll need this. A ghostly lantern for ghastly tinkering.
Looking for those new bosses or new skills.
You learn to
200% increased rarity.
of the dead.
Okay.
You'll learn how to twist them. Meet me in the Necropolis. You can pilfer shiny things from a corpse, but you can pilfer glorious
Armors have a
things
dexterity.
from a soul. I need a grave digger.
Oh, you can... That's pretty cool. A Scarab overhaul. New penultimate bosses. Alright, I'm excited because there's new bosses to fight. Okay, cool. I wonder if that thing can like shotgun and overlap, because that could be pretty hard for melee classes.
What do you say?
Alright, well that's looking pretty cool
In
so
the
far.
Necropolis League, you will encounter Undertaker Arameer, a man collecting the scattered spirits of the Eternal Empire for a mysterious purpose. These spirits have begun to haunt the monsters of Rayclast, unleashing their ancient fury and sorrow onto the world. The Undertaker will provide you with the Lantern of Arameer, a powerful family heirloom which can illuminate the wrathful spirits haunting monsters throughout Rayclast. With it, the Undertaker hopes to employ you to rid Rayclast of this menace, and further his cryptic cause. The lantern can be used when entering any new area. When peering through it, you can examine the spirits haunting that area. The lantern also allows you to manipulate them, letting you configure which monsters are affected by which mods. It would be wise to take your time with your decisions here, for the spirits are not forgiving. When peering through the lantern, you can also see extra details about the packs of monsters in the area. Rowers here are considered common, whereas the water elementals are more scarce. If you want things to be easier, you can put the more difficult spirits on the elementals, which you'll encounter less often. We've tried to make sure that by engaging with the lantern, you are able to intelligently control the difficulty in the Necropolis League. The spirits come in a number of forms which represent the danger they pose. For example here, the infested vultures are servant haunted, causing them to deal a small amount of increased damage. But the Vol's Vanguard are noble haunted, causing them to deal a large amount of increased damage. As you reach higher level areas in Rayclast, the tier and number of spirits that are haunting monsters will generally increase. Your game knowledge can help you here. If you're aware of the composition of a monster pack, this means certain mods will be easier to manage. For example, the mod that increases a pack's damage for every monster killed has no effect on packs with a single monster, like a Devourer. However, if we found a spirit that makes the strongest monster in a pack deal 100% more damage, well, I'm going to avoid the Devourer. You might have noticed that the Lantern of Arameer provides other useful information, such as the types of abilities monsters use, or the damage types they deal. So for those who are less familiar with how these monsters work, this can be a great way to learn what you're up against. The spirits are constantly moving throughout Rayclast, so if you are finding a campaign area too difficult, you can just wait a few minutes and peer through the lantern again to see what's changed. Of course, powerful spirits beget powerful rewards. There are two reasons why you might want to face a challenge now and then. Firstly, not all the spirits are malicious. Sometimes the monsters aren't haunted at all, but are instead devoted. These can grant basic rewards like increased experience, or bigger rewards like spawning the Nameless Seer, an NPC that will grant you a single unique item after you defeat all of the packs affected by that spirit.
Okay, and Tabula early game was good. There's
The more
Nomic
haunted
Storms there
monsters you
too.
defeat in the previous area before using the lantern, the more likely the devoted monsters will appear in the next area. Monsters haunted by higher tier spirits will increase the chance of the devoted appearing even more, meaning that sometimes it's worth putting the hardest modifier possible on very common monsters, if you're brave enough. Again, we've tried hard here to allow players to customize the danger and rewards as much as they can. Arameer is an Undertaker, and you can probably guess what we're taking to him. The second main reward from the Necropolis League is monsters with unresolved anguish. Once slain, their corpses need extra care from the Undertaker, and he will offer to take them back to his necropolis and store them in the morgue. Time to earn your keep. When you are ready, you can visit the morgue to view the monsters you have collected, and then get to work burying them in one of many graves in Arameer's cemetery. For example, we will bury this Katava's Herald. Arameer's mysterious soul experiments can coalesce powerful items. Here I've chosen to create a pair of boots.
Of Lunaris, heal your pains and aid this soldier, so that you may grace them with fleetness.
These boots are useful for my character, but aren't exactly what I hoped for. And this is where the Necropolis crafting system really shines.
It's a whole new way to craft.
You'll
Okay,
have
cool.
noticed that the corpse we collected earlier had a crafting effect on it. In fact, all collected corpses do. If you bury multiple corpses in the cemetery, all adjacent corpses can be exercised at once to create one item. All of the crafting effects on those corpses will apply to that same item.
Oh, well,
This allows you to have either one or many different crafting
So you can have
projects
what?
ongoing in the cemetery. For example, next time I try to create boots, I could bury corpses that increase the chance of getting move speed modifiers.
Oh, it's just increased chance.
To go further, I could use these
What's
to
the
generate
chance? It
higher
said
tier
30%
modifiers.
chance? Oh, dang.
Then, I could try to bias it towards being an evasion pair with this.
Items have a dexterity up.
Finally, I'll apply some crafting effects that improve the probability of getting good rolls.
But they said adjacent.
Now,
So is it just
let's
adjacent
craft
to
our
this?
item and see what we
Any
get.
of them? Or like the very first one that you put? I think that you could put all of them. Because I thought like they have to be touching it so you could get 8 stats
As
total.
you
Like
can see
8
now, we have a
crafting
much
things.
better pair of boots, forged from the souls of our enemies.
1 res life
You
movement
can
speed.
even
Okay.
use the entire cemetery to craft one
Oh,
item.
okay. So it doesn't have to be
There is
touching.
always something you can do to try and ensure your item will be as best as it can be.
But because
We
it's a
hope to
chance,
see
and
some
not like
really
a.
crazy grave crafts. If you are lucky, you
deterministic.
might find corpses with meta crafting modifiers.
Let's
These
see.
can be buried to manipulate your crafting projects in more drastic ways. This one increases the potency of all crafting effects of adjacent undead corpses. Another meta crafting modifier gives a chance to drop an extra item from your craft, with all the same crafting outcomes applied. All you have to do is
Well,
bury
how many
a
are
lot
there?
of undead monsters.
May the ferocity of Throldana free you of your anguish and aid this soldier, so that you may shield them from harm.
You can also craft new unique items exclusive to the Necropolis League using this system. As you explore
Do on
Raid
uniques,
class, you might
cool.
find the corpses of famous Eternal Empire families. And when you bury an
Julianis?
entire family together and exorcise them, they will thank you with a unique specific to their lineage.
As long as we can trade these items, that's all that matters to me.
For example, the Navalius Inheritance Belt. I'll give you a moment to check that out.
Increased effect per level, reduced flag factor. Oh.
You can use other corpses
Didn't go
alongside them
stop
to
time.
grant implicit mods, manipulate the values of explicit mods, and more. In this case, with the Parandus Pact, you can even change the modifiers it generates. This unique is a jewel which adds extra stats to passive skills in a radius when socketed into the passive skill tree. The stats it adds are randomly generated, but you can bias it towards a specific type by using other crafting effects, such as this one, which increases the chance of getting life modifiers. Let's see what we get.
So I'm guessing this endgame mechanic, this mechanic is just much better for endgame
Damn.
than like early.
We didn't get it this time. I guess we're gonna have to go and collect more corpses.
And that was like collecting the whole
course,
family.
You can trade the corpses away to other players.
Okay.
All you need to do is purchase empty coffins from the Undertaker
For
and
1
use them on your
chaos?
corpses in the morgue, which will itemize them.
Oh, okay. If we could
Another
just trade
item in
these,
the
that's
Necropolis
all we
League that you
need,
can
man.
Find are Embers of the
Pack
Allflame.
monsters are harmless for.
These are monster spirits that remain living in the Allflame, a powerful ancient artifact of Rayclast. And you can set them free by placing them in the Lantern of Arameer and defeating them. These embers drop throughout Rayclast as itemized packs of monsters. You are able to use these packs to replace the packs in areas. For example, we have found this Allflame Ember of Tarfoa.
Oh, so tattoos are
We
back.
can now go to enter the next area and replace one of the monster packs in here. You can see we have also gotten one of the devoted modifiers to appear. We can pair up the Karui ancestors with this modifier, making them even more rewarding. Let's go ahead and replace the tentacle miscreations.
So it's a one-time
However,
use?
When replacing packs, you want to double check their density, as the new pack will inherit the density of the replaced pack. The Karui ancestors we have now added to our area can even drop basic variations of tattoos. If you aren't
just
aware,
basic.
this is an item type from the Trial of the Ancestors League, which can be used on
Oh,
passive
that
skills to
plus
change
one
what
to
they do.
projectiles or plus to skills.
There are many different types of itemized packs.
But I don't
You
know if
can
that would
find Breach
exist.
and Legion monsters that drop splinters, untainted packs that provide insane amounts of experience, and even simple frogs, which can be used to replace difficult monsters to make life easier. And of course, these Ember monsters can be raised as specters too. Finally, let's discuss how this league works in in-game maps. Each in-game map will allow you to manipulate it using the lantern on the map device UI. However, instead of randomly cycling every few minutes, it is fixed to that map. Once you view the map through the lantern, you cannot remove it from the map device, so you can't trade that map away now that you've seen it as too difficult for you, or has monsters in it that you'd rather avoid, like porcupines. We're also trying something new this time around. During the Necropolis League, there will be support for the League on the Atlas passive tree. Multiple clusters will be there, allowing you to enhance the gameplay, customize it, and even change its behavior in meaningful ways. One way that you can change the crafting in a meaningful way is with the Prospero's Wager Keystone. With this keystone, all the monsters with unresolved anguish come with this crafting modifier, which causes them to generate a random craft when buried. This means instead of pre-planning your crafts, you have to adapt to them on the fly to get the best results. These clusters will not be available in Standard League. In 3.24, we've made a plethora of changes to the endgame. We're introducing new bosses, adding another tier of maps, and streamlining the Atlas. The most difficult and most rewarding content in Path of Exile can be found in Uber Pinnacle bosses, such as the Maven and the Searing Exarch. Currently, the only way to access these bosses is by allocating specific keystones on the Atlas passive tree. While this system offers a nice element of control, it causes a problem. Rewards and access to the non-Uber variants are now economically priced around the rewards of the Uber fights. This means it is wasteful to run the non-Uber variants instead of simply selling them.
Okay.
Another problem that we noticed is the difficulty jump between the Pinnacle and Uber Pinnacle content was relatively large, and there wasn't obvious content that could bridge this gap. Many players would give up on their characters before being able to defeat the Uber Pinnacle bosses. In 3.24, we will be making some changes to this. We are removing the keystones that give access to the Uber Pinnacle bosses from the Atlas tree, and instead we'll be adding a new set of fragments that give you access to this content. Where do you get these fragments? We are adding a new tier of maps, Tier 17 maps, which not only give you access to the Uber Pinnacle content, but also test your characters in new ways.
If we get more
They feature a new
XP,
set of
I think that's
bosses,
really
Uber
useful.
monsters, and a new tier of modifiers that can roll on the maps.
Okay, I'm interested in this a
There are
lot
5
more.
new Tier 17 maps in total, with some surprising boss fights at the end.
So
We'll
some
look
new
at a couple
bosses
today,
too.
and the rest you'll have to discover for yourself.
Okay, awesome.
First, we have the Citadel map. This map contains an ancient Kalguran citadel. You will encounter many expedition monsters as the signature packs throughout the map. At the end, you will fight Uber Uhtred. This is a version of a boss from Expedition League, with all its abilities and mechanics enhanced. Uber Uhtred will even be able to summon 2 other expedition bosses that aid it during the fight. Secondly, we have the Fortress map. This map is an impregnable fortress, guarded by monsters from the Heist League. At the end, you will encounter an Uber version of the Unbreakable. Again, it has enhanced abilities and mechanics you'll have to learn and overcome. Each of the Tier 17 map bosses has a chance to drop a unique item, allowing for some target farming. However, these aren't entirely new unique items. Instead, we've taken other unique items, removing them from the core drop pool and rebalancing them to fit here. One example is this reworked version of Wraith Lord. It has 4 Abyss sockets, and allows you to summon an additional Spectre for each Ghastly Eye Jewel socketed into it.
Oh.
Another example is
I think we know what we're playing.
This has been rebalanced to grant a lot more damage than before, alongside some more impactful mana stats, if you can get lucky rolls. Alongside adding Tier 17 maps, we have also changed the Uber Pinnacle bosses to have completely distinct unique item drop pools from their non-Uber counterparts. This means there is a reason to farm both versions.
Okay.
Let's take a look at the Shaper versus the Uber Shaper. The Shaper will drop these uniques:
Dying Sun.
Voidwalker, Shaper's Touch, Solstice Vigil, and Dying Sun. Whereas the Uber Shaper will drop these: Echoes of Creation, Sublime Vision, Entropic Devastation, Starforge, and a new unique belt called the Tides of Time.
Okay.
Another example of a new unique is this helmet from the Uber Eater of Worlds, Ravenous Passion, and these gloves from the Uber Searing Exarch, the Celestial Brace. Each of the Uber Pinnacle bosses has a new unique added to their drop pools. We've identified another major problem with the endgame we'd like to address. With every expansion added to the game, we have been increasing the complexity of running maps. It's at the point now where a player must repeatedly execute a large sequence of steps to run maps efficiently.
Like
it can be easy to forget critical steps, and it can be tiring to repeat them. To solve this, we are removing some systems, but are keeping what is good about them. The 2 main systems we've removed are Sextants and the Master Mission Selector. It is not our intention to dull the content, however. We have completely reworked Scarabs to include most of the options that were previously covered by those mechanics, and many, many more. Let's take a look at some of them. Commonly, you might find Scarabs that simply grant access to different content. Here, we have a Scarab that causes Beyond Demons to spawn when killing monsters in your maps. And here, we have one that adds a Delirium Mirror. Each type of Scarab now has multiple versions, so if you want to fully invest in a type of content, you can do so. Here's a suite of Ultimatum Scarabs. This Ultimatum Scarab adds an Ultimatum encounter to a map. This Ultimatum Scarab of Bribing then causes that Ultimatum encounter to grant better rewards and its monsters to yield more experience.
Okay.
This Ultimatum Scarab of Dueling will cause that Ultimatum encounter to always guarantee the Trial Master boss fight at the end, assuming you can survive through all the rounds. This Ultimatum Scarab of Catalyzing will cause all rewards from that ultimatum to be catalysts, instead of other rewards. And finally, this Ultimatum Scarab of Inscription will cause all catalyst rewards from that ultimatum to be inscribed ultimatums instead. There are plenty of others. If you enjoy divination card farming, you might want to use these. This Divination Scarab of Curation causes more divination cards to drop for each different favoured map you have selected. But it also causes whatever map you're running to only drop divination cards from those favoured maps. So if you want to try and aim for your Mage Blood and don't want to just farm Crimson Temple, then this Scarab is for you.
That's pretty cool.
This Divination Scarab of Completion causes your divination cards to have a 20% chance to drop as a full stack instead, for maximum dopamine.
That's gotta be worth so much.
Basically, there are now just a lot of Scarabs. You might have also noticed that they no longer have tiers. Scarabs are now all world drops. You can get them anywhere.
Oh, that's awesome.
Some might be rarer than others, but the intention is that there'll be a lot more options than before, and more interesting combinations to consider. If you want to target specific Scarabs, Betrayal has been updated to include most of them, and you will need to relearn which ones come from where. While this system is allowing you to heavily invest in one type of content, it is reducing your capacity for variety. To address this, we have massively increased access to content on the Atlas passive tree. You are now able to reliably get different leagues like Breach or Legion from just your Atlas passives.
Okay, that's cool.
Regarding master missions, content such as Incursion, Delve, Betrayal, and Bestiary, these too are now accessible with Scarabs, and have more reliable investment options on the tree. Not only this, you can now get Jun, Einhar, Alva, and Nico to appear together in the same map. We have also removed some keystones such as Wandering Path, Grand Design, and Growing Hordes, but have added some new ones too. For example, Unwavering Vision,
20 Atlas. Wow, that's huge. I think we rushed that immediately.
and Thorough Exploration.
Affliction Whistle. Oh, okay.
And
that could be pretty
we have added
good.
some new notables such as Remarkable Relics, which allows you to try find better variants of Scarabs.
I'm not sure what we're going to be playing yet, to be honest. I want to see the new uniques first.
Which increases the values of modifiers on your maps by 2% for each explicit modifier. And Tainted Carapaces, which is just one in a set of many that allow you to target farm specific types of Scarabs. These are just a few of the many new notables that can be found on the Atlas passive skill tree. Lastly, we are giving you more flexibility in what content you want to run in the endgame. In 3.24, you can now have multiple copies of the Atlas tree, which can be swapped between maps at your leisure. You can unlock up to 2 extra trees for a total of 3 by progressing through the endgame and completing core content.
That's good, so if you want to swap to, like, you know, Scarabs or not swap. Okay, cool.
For a given league, you'll never feel constrained to playing your endgame a single way.
That's actually really good for
trees to easily identify
quality of life,
which content.
retention rate for players.
We're hoping to see new endgame strategies shine through.
That was a really huge thing.
While playing through the campaign in 3.24, you'll notice a myriad of small improvements and surprises. The fundamentals of the campaign are still intact, but we've scattered fun encounters and secrets throughout Rayclast. The Dweller of the Deep has been trapped. What are these ritual shrines doing in the northern forest? And why are they giving me omens?
Okay.
This device looks safe. I should definitely use this on my items. There are plenty more encounters to discover. We'll continue adding more surprises in future releases. So keep an eye out. In the previous expansion, 3.23, we released a large number of Transfigured skill gems.
That's what I'm excited about, the new skills.
Skill gems that function in very different ways, allowing for more build and gameplay variety. At the time, our aspirations were higher than we could achieve. We planned more gems than we could make. So, in 3.24, we're adding another set of Transfigured gems that we have now finished. Ice Shot, Incinerate, Artillery Ballista, Tornado, Elemental Hit, Kinetic Blast, Poisonous Concoction, and lastly, Summon Holy Relic.
Ooh, okay.
Hopefully those of you who missed your favorite skill having a Transfigured variant will get that here.
We'll have to see what they do.
We will certainly be adding more of these in the future, especially for skills that are missing them still. Of course, we'll also be doing a balance pass on the existing Transfigured gems. One of the main ones we're looking at is Kinetic Bolt of Fragmentation. As a result of this change, it is clear that the endgame potential of the Wander archetype really starts to suffer, mostly in the single target damage department. Due to this, we've added the new support gem, Sacred Wisps. This support gem causes supported skills to create 2 attached wisps for a duration. With these wisps, whenever you attack, they have a chance to also use the same skill, if you have enemies in your presence. And if there are any rare or unique enemies, they will always use the skill.
I guess this Twitch thing is just like popped.
That leads us into all the other quality of life features we're introducing in 3.24, and there's a shitload of them. Many of these have been revealed in teasers already, but here's a quick summary.
Alright, let's see.
We've added the automation and call to arms skill gems.
Oh, this one's actually really cool.
Being able to trigger instant skills and war cries without having to bind them to left click.
Yeah, so you could just instantly...
You can now hold down Control and left click to automatically apply certain currency orbs until they achieve the desired result, or you run out. For example, you can hold down fusings until you reach maximum links.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
You will be able to control, shift,
this is huge, I saw this.
into a trade window to automatically move all of that currency at once from your inventory.
That's a very nice thing for trade.
Detonate Dead now has clearer telegraphing effects. When harvest crafting, the item hover will always be visible, so you no longer have to mouse back and forth to see the results of your crafts.
That's good though.
When you use a Vaal Orb on a map, the map no longer has a chance to become unidentified.
Unless you're a streamer,
Instead,
you kind of
it
want
adds a
to
new
have
implicit.
it be a surprise.
We've created a set of implicits that affect the areas in fun ways. Related to that, corrupted and mirrored items can now be identified. Breach hands now open upon approach, and no longer need to be clicked. Upgrades to Pantheon powers now apply to all characters in a league. You no longer need to grind divine vessels on each new character.
That's good.
With
Well,
harvest
there's
crafting, you
some
can now
builds where you
re-roll
don't
over
want the
Elder
actual
fragments.
thing. It makes it
Fragments
worse.
dropped by the Shaper cannot be re-rolled into fragments dropped by the Elder, and vice versa. Regarding Betrayal, we're removing Ashling's crafting bench as a reward. Instead, Veiled Orbs now perform that function. They remove a mod and replace it with a Veiled mod. These orbs now drop from Katarina and are no longer a world drop. Flasks can now be corrupted by Vaal Orbs, giving random -10 to +10 quality.
So you get 30 quality
The
on
capability
flasks.
to add extra quality to weapons, armors, and flasks has been removed from Betrayal. The Betrayal bench craft that converts an amulet to a talisman has been moved to Bestiary, and thus can be traded. Maven invitations no longer drop. Instead, when you have completed witnessing all bosses required to go to the Maven's arena, you can just talk to Kirak, and he'll open a map device window with the invitation already in there, ready to be rolled. Valdo's maps that granted invitations now give Scarabs. No more having to waste Guardian
cannot be
kills to try and
removed
get
either.
invitations to drop. Next
okay.
up, we're going to be talking about our new League supporter packs.
Okay,
Today,
they were
we're
actually
launching
really
two
efficient
new
for
series
time.
of supporter packs, the Solar and Eldritch packs.
Okay.
Each tier contains the full pack's face value and points, alongside
I'll check out
several
like the
exclusive
first set of
microtransactions.
skins here.
These packs are only available for the duration of the Necropolis League, and will leave the store forever when it ends. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic, and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Solar series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions.
It's kind of cool. It's a giant like turtle in the back.
The
That's new.
Cosmos weapon effect
maybe
adorns
hideout?
your weapon with stars. Hitting enemies causes cosmic energy to spill out into the area around them. The Radiant Orb of Chance extra effect projects the outcome of items you've used an Orb of Chance on above your head. Remember to congratulate other exiles in town if you see them chance a powerful unique item. Shine boldly with the Solar
Okay.
Knight
While they
armor set.
go talk about this, I'll give you guys my thoughts on this league. Okay, so as far as it goes, the crafting, because it's not deterministic, I really don't like that. I know it's part of Path of Exile to have like the RNG, and that gives you that big dopamine hit, right? If you get that really good roll. But if there's new uniques and new gems to play around with, and new bosses, and tier 17, I think there's enough content for me to get excited and want to check that out. Like I said, that was a hideout of the turtle. That looks actually really cool. But I think that having tier 17 maps will be really good if they have increased X, because most players, like myself included, once you get about 95-ish, it's relatively hard to level unless you're doing 5 ways. If you're doing 5 ways, then yeah, you can get to 100, but most people will not get to 100, and to get those extra 5 levels would be good. It would be also really good to see, like, I think a really good change for Path of Exile, at least for, like, softcore, is making it so you don't lose XP when you die. Maybe they can just try it out for a season, or I know they have omens that do this, but I think it's a little bit too difficult to push for 100, because most people, in their mind, they think I need to push to 100 in a game, and it's very unrealistic for most players to hit that. But nonetheless, I think that this league, the crafting mechanic, because there's usually some sort of crafting mechanic, I don't know if I'll engage with it a lot, but because you can trade some of the stuff, if we get a good one, we can just trade it. I like to have consistency as well as like deterministic crafting, so I like that a lot more, unless I'm just using like essences on a fractured item, which makes things a lot easier. But we will engage with the new systems, and I'm more excited about the new endgame bosses, and like there's like that thing where you can summon specters. And as far as what I plan to play, I don't know yet what I plan to play, other than I have my eye right now on the whatever new Transfigured gem for the eye shot, and then I also have my eye on something with summon specters. It's basically, I think it was called Wraith Lord. We get a bunch of summon specters, and if we can build an army of really OP brand new monsters, then obviously that will be kind of fun, because for the past 2 leagues I think we played Lightning Arrow, but there was reasons to, because there was newer stuff for it. But That is my plan so far with it. What do you guys think of the brand new Necropolis League? Are you super hyped about it? Are you disappointed about anything? For me, as far as like leveling up with the new league mechanic, I'll probably experiment a couple times with it, but I think that it's not going to be good until you get to Endgame, because unless you're playing SSF, it's just going to be much better and much more consistent. Just get the item that you want. Just spend like 10 Chaos Orbs and just get the item you want, up until you get to the point where like you want this like godly best in slot. But anyways, that's my thoughts on the Necropolis League. Curious to know yours down below, but that's going to go and wrap it up for that. And also, we just dropped the POE 2 gameplay, which that honestly I'm more excited about to see, and unfortunately the beta is getting pushed back. But anyways, that's going to wrap things up. What do you guys think of it?